Broncos fans, this offseason for Denver is going to be a lot of fun. Between the head coaching search already, we're just getting started, about $50 million to play with in free agency, plus 5 picks in the top 100 of the NFL draft, so you know we're going to be putting out tons of mock drafts. Add all that together, along with a very talented roster to begin with. Oh, and plus the Broncos are going to make a blockbuster trade potentially for a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson. Yeah, this will be a very fun offseason. If you're with me and if you're excited for this Broncos offseason, then go ahead and like this video. Give us a big thumbs up because the season may not have been fun at points, but you know this offseason is going to be a lot of fun. So hit that thumbs up button to start today's video. Welcome into the Broncos Breakdown. I'm your host, Matthew Peterson. Coming up on today's show, we'll give you the latest news and rumors revolving around the coaching search going on in Denver as they look for the new leader. Also, there's 6 current openings after the Giants fired Joe Judge yesterday. So is the Broncos' job number 1 of those 6? And also we'll wrap up the show with looking at some latest ownership buzz because there's been a development on that side. And 2 popular names you'll want to stay tuned for will be at the tail end of this show. But let's get to the main attraction, right? The number 1 thing you're coming looking for, which is the latest update on the Broncos head coaching search. GM George Paton is interviewing 10 names as of now. Here are the current candidates. I've got them ranked all from 10 to 1 of the way I'd like to see it, how it'll fall down. Luke Getsy, the quarterback coach for Green Bay, along with Aaron Glenn, the DC in Detroit. Those are 10 and 9. I think a handful of these back names here are more searching for potential coordinators in the future / heard a lot of good things about you. So that's 10 through 6. But 1 through 5, the big ones here. Brian Callahan, he was the most recent name added. I put him all the way to 5. I think the Bengals have done a lot of fun things this season. Eric Bieniemy, the OC for KC. Nathaniel Hackett out in Green Bay. He's been a very popular name in the coaching carousel talks. And then the top 2 names. Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator for the Cowboys, and Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Cowboys. But let's look at the new guy on the block here, Brian Callahan. I've got him slotted at number 5 at my kind of pecking order of these 10 names the Broncos are set to interview. Some notes on him. He's got a pretty sweet job, if you ask me, with working with Joe Burrow, a number 1 overall pick, and Jamar Chase, a top 5 overall pick. So Callahan, I think a lot of times can just sit back and watch Joe and Jamar just bring the Bayou Bengals to victories. Now, Brian Callahan does not call the plays for the Bengals, and I think that's worth mentioning because a lot of teams that are kind of pursuing that trend of young and offensive-minded guys are looking for play callers, and that's Zach Taylor's responsibility in Cincinnati. I don't know if the Broncos want to experiment with Callahan's play calling as a head coach, right? You don't want to find that out on the fly. Now, he does have a lot of ties to Denver. This is a bit of a hometown kid in a lot of ways. He coached with the Broncos from 2010 to 2015. That's kind of where he got his start in the NFL. He was one of those offensive quality control intern, no idea what they do, but that's his job title. So he knows the area, he knows the team, he knows the organization. So that's the latest name added to the Broncos coaching search. Remember, we're going to have all the updates here for you guys on the Broncos Breakdown. But let me ask this question to you. Who do you want the Broncos to hire? This is what the channel's all about. Love to see what you guys say. Always interacting with you in the comment section. So let me know. Who is your number 1 name down below? This is the pinned comment. So if you can hit with the YouTube ad break, go on down and give me your name. Personally, I'm leaning Dan Quinn. And here's why, in 2 short reasons. 1, I like a coach with previous head coaching experience. He knows what to do, and he also hopefully will learn from his mistakes. He knows not what to do, which is when you have a 28-3 in the Super Bowl, 23 lead in the Super Bowl, don't take a sack and put yourself out of field goal range in the 4th quarter. So I like Dan Quinn because he has experience, and also I like Dan Quinn because he's got the bit of an intangible that's talked about, right? He's a human being, just like you and me. He's more than just what his defensive points per game numbers are in Dallas this year. He's well-liked in the NFL. He's got good buzz around him, and so I think he'd be an overall good leader, and that's the number 1 job of a head coach, being a leader. Not just being a analyst who can look at numbers and tell you when to go for it on 4th down and when not to go for it on 4th down. But I can also tell you this. If you want to make some cheddar on who the next Denver Broncos head coach could be, Check out BetUS. Our sportsbook partner today is powering today's show. Head on over to chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code Broncos125, and you can bet on Super Bowl odds. You can bet on the playoffs. You can bet on the NBA if you want to put some money on the Nuggets. Do it all at BetUS, our proud sportsbook partner of today's show. Story number 2 coming at you now. I'm going to rank all the openings of head coaching gigs in the NFL, and we'll see where the Broncos sit amongst the top 6 right now. So let's kick it off here. Number 6 through 4, I got the G-Men. I got a Giants channel here at Chat Sports, Marshall Green. Not going to be happy with me, but the New York Giants have had 3 head coaches now, and it will be 4 head coaches in 6-7 years. Very unstable. No clear path at quarterback, least number 1 desired job in my opinion. The Dolphins come in at 5 because you're walking into, you know that meme where like there's a fire going on and that dog's just sitting there right now? Yeah, that's kind of like Tua in Miami. Who knows if he's really the guy or if they're going to have to go draft a new quarterback. Vikings at 4, talented roster, but aging roster, and Kirk Cousins, very expensive. What do you do with him? Do you blow it up or do you try and roll with the current roster? Now, 3, 2, 1, I've got the Jags coming in at number 3. You've got Trevor Lawrence. That's a great piece and cornerstone to work around. The second coming of Jesus Christ himself, some say. Looks like him a little bit too. So I got the Jags at number 3. I've got the Bears at number 2 because they got a lot of talent on that roster, and they have a guy named Justin Fields who I know plenty of Broncos fans maybe would like to see him on their field this year and not in Chicago. But number 1, I've got the Denver Broncos. And I'll tell you why in just a moment. But let me know, is the Broncos job the top job in the NFL right now? Of those 6 openings, do you think Denver's number 1? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no, and maybe I can persuade you in just a moment. I think if you look at the top 2 between the Broncos and the Bears, we'll weigh their pros and cons, okay? The Broncos have more cap space than the Bears. They got about $50 million-ish. Hard to estimate right now because we haven't even hit the 2020 season yet, which starts technically in March, and players will be released to save money. They'll pick up players, but about $50 million-ish. That's more than the Bears do, but not by a ton. Now, Denver trumps Chicago in picks in the 2022 NFL Draft, nearly doubling what the Bears have. The Bears don't even have their own first-round pick. That belongs to the Giants. Meanwhile, Denver has their own first, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds, something Chicago can't even come close to saying. Denver's got probably the most talented roster of these 6 teams from top to bottom, a lot of pieces to work with. But the pro for the Bears is they've got, hopefully they would like to think, their future at quarterback with Justin Fields, right? Their first round pick. Meanwhile, Denver, the only thing they're missing is a quarterback. Everything else is there, and that's why they were able to get to 7 wins with average to below average quarterback play at times. So I think the Broncos have tons of ammunition, and they've got stability. And those 2 factors bring them to number 1 to me. A lot of these other teams, unstable. Look at the Jags. They're always going in and out of coaches. They're always the number 1 pick in the draft. They're always looking for their next guy. And meanwhile, the Broncos have 5 picks in the top 100 and plenty of money to, sprinkle in free agency. So that's why I've got them number 1 in my head coaching gigs out there. Before we get to the third and final segment of today's show, guys, we are behind teams that I cannot stand. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Las Vegas Raiders. We have a long way to go to catch up to them in subscribers here at Chat Sports, but everyone counts. So hit that big red button, join the channel if you have not already, and if you have, stay tuned to the end of the video because you may be getting a shout out. We appreciate all of our loyal subscribers. Third and final segment on today's show. Some speculation, some news and rumors updates on who's going to be the next owner of the team. So Woody Page, right, Denver legend, he tweeted this out. With Bolin and Kaiser lawsuit over, Broncos Joe Ellis will announce plan for new ownership quickly. According to my sources, 6 candidates to bid. Peyton Manning and John Elway will be in 2 different groups. Another Colorado-based group is doing the research for bid. We may have a competition between 2 of the biggest legends in franchise history. But look at the overall landscape of this. It's been a complicated and, I'll be honest, boring right? That's how court usually goes, ruling. But it did come out lately that the previous, so if you, let me catch up to speed really quickly. Pat Bowlen bought the team from the Kaiser family, or from Mr. Kaiser, and when Pat Bowlen passed away a couple years ago, the team fell to his trust, which was managed by Joe Ellis, and his daughters were bickering over who would take over the team, and then they wanted to sell the team, and then the Kaiser group was like, hey, we actually want to say in this, and they're like, no, you sold us the team back in the 80s, and they're like, yeah, but we still want to say, and then the court ruled a couple days ago, you get no say, get the hell out of here, basically. And so now that's cleared a path for this team to be sold, and I expect a sale to happen very soon, weeks or months from now. This team will be in new hands. Now, one important little nerd note here. In order for the person or a group, or an individual, to be a majority owner, they have to own at least 30% of the team. The team is worth about $4 billion, so that would be about $1.2 billion to be the majority owner. I don't think Peyton Manning has $1.2 billion laying around. Same for John Elway. I think that they can partner up and come in as a group, well, not separate groups, but get, their own partners and whatnot. Peyton Manning and Eli Manning combined probably don't come up to a billion. Close, I bet, but not a billion. John Elway, I think he's been wanting to own this team since he's been working in the front office. But let me ask this question to you guys. Pick an owner for me. John Elway or Peyton Manning? Elway has been more familiar with the Broncos lately, of course, right? He's been having his hands all over the team, for better or for worse, and lately more for worse. Meanwhile, Manning, he just looks like one of the sharpest and brightest football minds ever. And it looks like he wants to jump to the top and kind of skip past the coaching and broadcasting. He's done a little bit of Monday Night Football action, but not really in the booth gig. Give me a 7 for Elway or an 18 for Manning. I'd go with Peyton Manning. It's not like I have a decision or they're going to, have a raffle over this. But between the two, I'd rather see Peyton Manning be the next Broncos owner. I think John Elway has been a hit-and-miss CEO, president, GM, whatever you want to call him. And that's partly why he lost responsibility lost a lot of responsibility, and they brought in George Paton because Elway wasn't getting the job done. He was misevaluating quarterbacks, and that's tough to do when you're John Elway and you are one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. So I love to see Peyton Manning. I think he is a very smart and bright football mind, and of course he's just smart in general, but he reads the game differently, and if he's not going to be an owner, he's on track to be the commissioner of the NFL or something very high up. He is not settling to be the color analyst on CBS. Earlier in the video, I told you guys that are subscribed to stay tuned to the end of the video. I want to appreciate all of the loyal subscribers out there. Carlos, Mike Martin, so many of you guys, All Out Broncos, Joey. So many guys are frequent commenters. I'm forgetting some, but they'll come back to me later. Go ahead and type me if you've watched this far in the video, because if you're at the end of the video, I'm doing something right, and I think you might like this channel. So go ahead and give me your me's down below, and I'll give you guys shout-outs on the next show.